How's it going, everyone? Ben here from Augment Guitars, and today we're going to be installing some stainless steel frets into the Tele Partscaster neck. Stainless steel frets can be kind of a bear to work with, but if you have the right tools, it's not too bad. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first job we're going to be tackling is to cut the frets to length and then remove the tangs. We're going to be using this Warmoth 6150 stainless steel fret wire. It's high quality and is great to work with. We will be using the fret cutters to trim them to shape, a fret hammer to seat the frets, and then some nippers to remove the tang. I don't really use these nippers anymore on stainless steel frets because I have this fancy new fret filing jig from LMI. It works great and saves tons of time with fret work. After cutting the frets, I like to put them in this fret organizer that I made from a scrap guitar body cutoff. Now, let's get to work. The first thing that we need to do is wipe down the fret wire with some acetone. From the factory, fret wire comes with a bit of oil on it due to the manufacturing process. We want to clean this off so the glue can properly adhere to the fret wire tang with no issues. Now that the frets are prepped, let's go ahead and start cutting them to length. I measure the fret so that it hangs over the edge just a little bit, and then I make the cut away from the fretboard so I don't scratch or nick it. I double check the length and then put it in my fret wire organizer. Let's continue to cut the fret wire for the rest of the fretboard. You can also do this before sanding and buffing up the board, as if you accidentally scratch or nick the board, you can just sand it out. I've been doing this for a while, so I usually do it after sanding the fretboard. Now that we have all the frets cut, we need to remove the tangs. As you can see on the fretboard, the ends are closed up with a mixture of sawdust and glue. We need to remove the tang on the fret ends to ensure that the tangs do not cut into these closed ends. I like to fill the ends and cut the tangs on all of my builds as it helps prevent fret sprout in the drier months. To remove the fret tangs, we're going to be using this LMI fret tang filer jig. This jig is an absolute lifesaver and saves me tons of time when installing frets on my builds, especially with stainless steel frets. The system uses a fret clamp down and a file to cut the tangs cleanly. You can pick your desired fret tang depth by using these shims. I use a scrap piece of carbon fiber rod, which is the perfect thickness for most of my applications. Let me show you how it works. We lightly clamp down the fret in the holder, and then add the shim in between the holder and the file housing, and then finally we push the fret against the file, which sets the cut depth. We can then fully clamp down the fret, remove the shim, and start filing. We want to use a smooth, rolling motion to file the fret down. The file will fully remove the tang, and it will also level the bottom of the fret where the tang initially was. Once you get the workflow, it goes pretty quick. So let's file the rest of these tangs. It's also a good idea to periodically vacuum up the file shavings. This will help prolong the life of the jig base. I just finished removing all of the fret tangs, so let's get to fretting. I'm going to be using this fret arbor press from StewMac to fully seat the frets into the slot. Before installing the frets, we will wipe down the board with some naphtha again to ensure all oil and dirt are removed. We will also be checking all of the fret slot depths with the specialized fret slot depth tool. If any of the slots are not at the correct depth, I will use a small fret saw to deepen and clean the slot. And finally, we will be using an assortment of cauls and supports to put under the neck shaft to prevent it from flexing too much when using the fret arbor press. So before we install the frets, let's check the fret slot depths. I'm using this specialized tool that has 4 different sizes for 4 different radius ranges. Let's use the 10 to 14 inch range and see if we need to deepen any of the fret slots. As you can see, the 2 black lines disappear, so the depth is perfect. If the fret slot was too shallow, we could use this small fret saw to clean it out or to deepen it. After checking all of the fret slot depths, we are ready for fretting. Let's wipe down the board one last time with naphtha to remove any dirt or oils. On all fretting jobs, I like to glue in the frets to ensure a good bond and so they don't pop out, which can happen over time. I like to use either medium CA glue or high glue for this job. To glue in the frets, I place a piece of tape on either side of the fret slot and use the glue bottle with a whipping tip to fill in the slot with glue. I then wipe off the excess, remove the tape, and tap in the fret to seat it. I can then take it over to the fret arbor press, add in the neck supports, and press in the fret. The fret press has a brass 12-inch radius caul that perfectly matches the shape of the fretboard. That's 1 down, 21 more to go. Let's go ahead and repeat the process for the remainder of the slots. If you get a little bit of squeeze out with the CA glue, you can use a little bit of acetone on a paper towel to wipe it off. Use caution when cleaning the glue next to fretboard inlays, as it could dissolve the glue and possibly the inlay as well. We don't want that. We are making some great progress, about halfway there. For the higher up frets, it's easier to clean up the excess glue with some acetone and a Q-tip. Once again, be careful around the inlays. And in no time, all of the frets are finally in. Look how good they look. After letting the glue cure for 24 hours, the next step is to trim the fret ends flush with the neck. To do this, we will be using my StewMac fret cutters to trim off the bulk of the fret ends. These cutters have a flush face which trims the fret very close to the edge of the fretboard. We will then use these 2 fret leveling files to file the ends fully flush with the side of the fretboard. Let's go ahead and trim these fret ends. When using these cutters, ensure to cut with the blades facing vertically. If you cut with the blades facing horizontally, you risk pulling up the fret ends due to the force being applied upwards. I have done this before and had to hammer them back into place. Also, when cutting these fret ends, wear safety glasses as the nibs can go flying in any direction. I swear, they have a mind of their own. Now that we cut off most of the fret end material, it's time to flush things up. Let's start with the bigger file as it has a coarser cut to it. I am holding the neck on its side while controlling the file with my other hand. As I said in my last video, be sure to have complete control over the file and don't go too fast. We don't want to slip and dent or scratch the neck or fretboard. Just keep filing until it looks and feels flush. After filing with the coarse grit file, I finish up with the smaller, finer cut file. And just like that, we are all done. These frets turned out great. They went in super easy and it didn't take too much more effort than standard nickel frets. I think stainless steel frets are always worth the extra effort. And that just about wraps up this episode. These frets turned out great and they are a major upgrade from the original nickel frets that were originally in there. So in the next episode, we're going to be installing some threaded inserts into the neck, and we're also going to be doing the finish sanding to prep for our stain and oil finish. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.